or at least for this session. And for the people who are just joining, I was just asking everyone to close their eyes for 30 seconds, 1 minute, just to decide what they want to gain from this workshop, whether realize what your relationship with money is, whether it's to gain new insights about the way that you relate to abundance in your business, or if you just find a new way to change the way that you're seeing things in your business and the way that you're attracting clients. So if anyone wants to share in the chat, feel free. You're more than welcome to, and we can discuss as well. Now, a few housekeeping items before we get started. So just a few things for you to remember what we're doing here. So first of all, be open-minded. You might have heard all of these things before. These might not be new concepts to you, or they might be extremely new concepts to you, but I want you to bring a beginner's mind to this, because that's the way that we all learn, right? So you can always learn something new. Something that I learned from one of my coaches is like, when you join a program, when you join a master class, or a coaching course, you might not gain everything that you were hoping for, but you're always going to get those golden nuggets that are going to be transformational and are going to change the way that you're looking at your own life. So there's always space to learn something new. The second one is participate. Keep your camera on if you can, if you want to. Ask questions, be playful about these. So this is a place of no judgment. This is a place of love and respect. So I'm hoping that everyone gains that from here, and be just mindful that you might gain new people that are going to enrich your life in some way or another during these 3 days. And the last one is just be playful. Be playful with this. I know that a lot of people take the subject of money too seriously, and it doesn't have to be. It's actually all the opposite. The more playful that you are in the conversation, the more that you are able to look at yourself and laugh at yourself, the more insights that you're going to gain. Attract more abundance in my business. Thanks, Katie. I think that's everyone's goal right now. I love that. All right, so now I want you to get to know who you're talking to, who you're talking with for these next 3 days. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself. You can read all the words in the screen, but I'm still going to tell you my story from my heart. So I grew up in Colombia, South America, and I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with the way that things were in Colombia. I grew up in the 80s, so that was in the middle of one of the worst political times in the country, and I grew up in a lot of lack. My family was, I can't say that my family was poor, but the level of income that my parents had was just, you know, the typical paycheck to paycheck. We never had more than enough. It was always a struggle. My parents were always arguing about money. I grew up thinking that I could not ask for anything that I wanted because I was going to cause a fight in my parents' relationship. So I grew up thinking that I didn't deserve the things that I wanted. Money was hard, money was difficult. And that's a lot of people's stories, right? But at a very early age, I think I was in my teenage years, I started to discover the metaphysical world and the spiritual world. And I started to get immersed in meditation and different personal development classes. And I started to put into practice all the things that I was learning. And my life completely transformed. And that didn't happen when I was in my teens, when I first started, but it happened later on in my life. And one of the reasons why I'm so fucking passionate about the subject of abundance is because I didn't grow up with it. And then I realized that I was powerful enough to manifest whatever I wanted. And I've changed my life from someone who came to Canada with $400 in my pocket to a life that I couldn't have imagined 20 years ago. Last week, actually, no, a couple of days ago, my husband sent me a text saying, would you like to spend a weekend in Paris in June? And I said, yeah, sure, why not? And then it hit me. Oh my God, when did I become the person who spends a weekend in Paris? Like, when did that happen? And that doesn't mean that we're like multimillionaires or anything like that, but our circumstances have changed so much that we're able to do things that we weren't able to do before. So the reason why we're here is because I absolutely love teaching other people that it doesn't have to be difficult, that it doesn't have to be hard, that it can be a lot of fun. And it's not just about the money, it's about the person that you become in the process. So we all start thinking that it's about the thing, right? The house, the car, the money, the business, the client, but it is ultimately the person that you're becoming when you're going through this transformational process. You become someone who's freaking happy for no reason, like your heart glows in the morning for no apparent reason at all. And if that's not the life that we all want, then I don't know what that is. So that's just a little bit of snippet about myself. I live in Ottawa, Canada. I've been in Canada for more than I can remember. I think it's been 21, 22 years. Absolutely love it here. I still don't know why a Colombian will leave the tropical climate to come to Canada, but here I am and I absolutely love it. So as I move on, I'm going to ask you right now that since we are all business owners, we can just give a quick intro of what type of business you have, how long have you been in your business, and if you have any specific questions that we can address at the end. And I'm gonna leave a few minutes. What time is it? I'm gonna leave a few minutes at the end so that we can chit chat and have some a little bit more personal conversation if you have any specific questions. So love to hear in the chat. I know there are some comments. Let me just take a look. I'm returning to my coaching business after 2 years away, Cynthia. Caring for my parents, they pass now. My confidence is off, which concerns me about attracting wealth. Absolutely, I can totally relate to that. I've actually, one of the things that I wanted to say in my intro, that thank you, Cynthia, for the reminder, is that I've worked with people from all walks in life, mostly with people who are working on specific abundance. But my heart is with new entrepreneurs, mostly because it's like a freaking spiritual awakening when you start your business. I mean, I think all of us have been here and we think, oh, we have a passion and we're just going to create a business and we're going to help people and we're going to make money. And once we start, all the doubts, insecurities, fears come to us and they could be gut-wrenching. So that's one of the reasons why I love working with entrepreneurs, specifically new entrepreneurs, because I know what it feels like. I know what it takes to get out of that cycle. And I know that it doesn't have to be that much of a struggle, even though we all kind of like get looped in the struggle. So now I want you to put your hand on your heart and answer the question that you have in front of you on the screen. Would you rather have someone hand you a pile of money, or would you learn the skill that is going to teach you how to manifest that pile of money over and over and over again? And I know the question sounds kind of obvious, right? It's like, well, if I can win the lottery, why wouldn't I want to win the lottery? But you're only going to get money when you learn how to hold the energy of that money. So it's the question of, do you teach a man to fish or do you hand him the fish? So I want you to really think about that, because that is the big difference between a sustainable business model or one that is not sustainable. So most of us, when we start our business, we start thinking that it's about the action, right? It's about the strategy. It's about the marketing. It's about the promotion, being out there. For all of us who are in the service industry, like coaches and healers, we think it's all about social media and showing up and doing the lives and doing the Facebook group and growing your audience and yada, yada, yada. And absolutely, those things are going to help you. But if you don't have the skills to manifest, if you don't have the skills to attract, if you don't have knowledge about your energetic signature, and if you don't know how to deal with your emotions and you don't become more emotionally intelligent, you're always going to get back to square one, or the journey there is going to get more challenging because you're going to be reacting to your environment. You're going to be a victim of the economy. You're going to be a victim of a pandemic. I don't even know if we still have a pandemic, but you're going to be a victim of what's happening around you rather than rising to the top regardless of what's happening around you and still making that business success. So one of the hints that I want you to leave you with today is that the best way to predict the future is to create it. And I've heard that in so many different ways and from so many different people that I actually wanted to quote the person who said it. And when I researched it, I'm like, crap, I think everyone said that. Like there's Dr. Joe Dispenza, there's Abraham Lincoln, and there's all kinds of mentors who have said it. So I'm like, I'm just not going to quote any author because I really don't know who said it. But that's the best way. When you wake up every morning with the certainty that you're keeping your energy up, with the certainty that you're leading your business with the right energy, you're walking the path towards creating the momentum that is going to help you get there. So think about this. If you have two people that are applying the same strategy, and I've seen it in my business and in my life so many times. So whatever you're doing Facebook Lives, or you're growing your Facebook group, and you're posting and you're doing all the things. And there's this one person that is doing the exact same things. And that person is thriving, and that person is bringing all the clients and bringing all the money, and you're doing exactly the same thing and it's not working for you. So it's a matter of energy. Energy is 80% the driver of your results. Action is everything else that comes after that. Action is just a byproduct of the energy that you're bringing to your business, but energy is definitely what's going to get you there. So that's what we're going to be doing in the next 3 days. We're going to be talking about your relationship with money, the type of energy that you're bringing to your business, the type of energy that you're bringing to your life, and if you are creating the right type of energetic momentum to actually manifest your desires in your business. I'm just going to take a quick look at the chat to see if there's any other questions. We also have a weekend in Paris. Absolutely, Katie. Is that from your business? Helping women love sex again. Gee, that is so needed right now. And I know that you're going to be killing it at it. Stress elimination coach, Kim, and you're doing a fantastic job. All right. So the question now is, as a new entrepreneur, are you aware of your relationship with money? And I just say this because, and we're going to get into that exercise in a few minutes into the workshop, but when you're not aware of how you are presenting yourself with money, when you're not aware of the energy that you're bringing to money, again, as I was saying previously, you're going to be a victim of your circumstances. If you're not knowing what your limitations in terms of mindset and beliefs are, then you're always going to turn up to square one, or the struggle is going to get real. So let me ask you something, and I want you guys to quickly jot it in the chat. If you're going to California, say that you want to travel to California, which way do you go? You have 4 options: north, south, west, or east. And go.
West.
Okay, Joe says west. He says south. iPhone 2 says west. Cynthia says west. Okay, south. Perfect. Got it. So who do you think is going to get there first?
Who's closer?
Everyone's going in different directions. And that's exactly what it is, right? So if you want to get to California, you need to get to know where you are right now, because there's no map in the world that is going to help you get there if you don't know where you are. Because if I talk to Kim, who's in BC, and she tells me that it's south, if I go south, I'm just going to hit Vermont. So I really need to learn to get so deeply and intimately related to the way that I see money, so that I know exactly what I have to do to get there. So getting to know where you are is already half the battle right there. So the line there might not be straight, but it's going to be way easier when you know where you are. So let's just get through that. So clarity, and I want you to start understanding that embracing the clarity to bring what you desire is key. So let's get very, very personal about this, right? So our personality is made up of all of the beliefs and the things that we observed and internalized from the ages of 0 to 7, right? So think about the relationship that you have. Cynthia lives in California, she wins. Think about the relationship that you had with your parents. Think about the relationship that your parents had with money, and think about the way that you grew up thinking about money, right? So when we're very susceptible to information, we're going to internalize all that. And if I'm going to tell you a personal example, this is exactly what happened to me. I grew up in an environment that money was the cause of discord. Money was the cause of fights between my parents. It was always a stressful thing. It was always a subject that I didn't want to touch. And I saw all my friends having the new doll, the Hello Kitty. That's how old I am. The Hello Kitty and all the toys from the you know, like the new toys that were being launched. And I was always scared shitless to ask for the toy that I wanted for Christmas or for my birthday or for whatever. So every time that my parents asked me what I wanted, I always said, I don't want anything, because I was so scared to express what I wanted, because I knew that was going to cause a fight. So I grew up thinking that money was always going to be a cause for arguments. And I ended up realizing that as an adult, I was hiding my spending habits because I didn't want to upset my husband. And I just kept it quiet. And I always try to keep my life as being very frugal. And I didn't want to spend because I knew that was going to be a fight. So if you think about that, all those relationships that we had when we were kids formed our personality. And then when we were teenagers, that personality was pretty much set in stone. And by the time we turned 35, those habits of thinking about money, I'm just talking about specifically money right now, but you can fill in the blank and replace the word money for anything that you want: relationships, job, purpose, life, romance, whatever you want, it's exactly the same thing. So by the time that we're 35, those habitual patterns of thinking and those habitual patterns of behaving are already part of who we are and part of the personalities that we have. So if with this personality we've created what we have, what it takes is to create a different personality, different habitual thoughts, and different habitual ways of behaving with money so that we can achieve the results that we have. So I want you to get the worksheet out, and I think Jackie put it in the chat, but if you don't have it, is there anyone that doesn't have the worksheet? Joe, I think you probably didn't get it because you registered like 429. So I'm sure that you probably don't have it. So Jackie had it in the chat. Jackie, if you can post it again, awesome. So some people are saying that they have it. Okay, so Jackie just posted the worksheet in the chat. If you can just open it and go to it. And I see that someone raised their hand. Was it you, iPhone 2? Sorry to call you iPhone 2, but I don't know what your name is. If you want to unmute yourself really quickly and ask a question, by all means, do it. Because right now I can see a lot of faces. I have my presentation mode. So yeah, iPhone 2, you have your hand up. So let me know if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, if you have anything that you want to share. All right, I guess that's a no. All right, so does everyone have the worksheet out? Okay, perfect. So I want you to take a look at question 1. And I'm just opening my own worksheet because I thought I had it up. And first of all, isn't that a gorgeous worksheet? I mean, kudos to freaking Jackie for creating something truly amazing. When I was working on these worksheets, I just said to Jackie, I don't have time to put this in a nice PDF format. I want something very simple. Can you please take care of it? And then 5 minutes later, she sends me this. I'm like, holy shit, this is gorgeous. I don't think I could have done it on my own. So anyway, so let's just focus on the first question. So are you aware of your relationship with money? How you think, feel, and behave about money determines your relationship with it. Let's get clear about where you are so that you can get clear about where you're going. So right now, I'm going to ask you to take 5 to 7 minutes to think about how you feel about money. Think about the beliefs you learn from your family and authority figures, and just start jotting them down. And I'm going to give you some ideas as you do that. I'm just going to keep my timer up so that I know that we're not going to be too over time. But as I was saying before, think about the way that your parents behaved towards money. Think about the things that you heard about money. A big one for me was money doesn't grow on trees. Money is hard to come by. And I never heard it explicitly as a sentence, but the subliminal message was money is not for people like us. Money is for other people, not for people like us. For me, another big one was to see the types of clothes that I was wearing versus my friends. I was always wearing the hand-me-downs from my cousins while my friends were wearing the new stuff. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop it right there. I think that's roughly 3-4 minutes. And I mean, if you want to complete it after, by all means, go right ahead. Because I think this is an exercise that I've done many times, because I think that every time that I go into a deeper level to understand where I am, I come back with new things and new awarenesses that have really helped me understand how I am related to money. And your relationship is going to evolve and change. So it's nice to do these. I say at least every few months, just to understand where you are. So is there anyone that would like to share right now? Don't be shy. I promise you I don't bite. Got it, Nicole. Now I know it's you. Thank you.
Isabel, I can share.
Go for it, Kim.
My past, I'm from a family of 6 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents, they both worked, but you know, scraping pennies often, a lot of times, never had any good paying job, I guess. So it was always that, you know, it was always scraping pennies together and that kind of thing. So if there's one thing that I think about the most, it's money. And I would like to improve this relationship, but I'm also, I do work around that. Like, you know, I do meditation and affirmations and that kind of thing. I just, I'd like to be more in an abundant money mindset.
Absolutely.
And, you know, then, I mean, I trust that it's there but then, when I'm thinking about it, when I'm maybe having an off day or something like that, I'm thinking of it in terms that I have enough. There's enough there, you know, so, and I know that doesn't align. I know that thoughts don't align. So yeah, it's a work in progress, but it definitely, if I can learn more here about that, that would be, I'd be
Yeah,
away with a lot, you know, so yeah, great.
it's absolutely a work in progress because there, as I was just saying, there's always new layers, right, of things that you're going to uncover. And I'm going to tell you a story of something that happened. I think I actually was going to tell the story in a couple of slides, but since we're talking about that, it's just having that acute awareness of how you're being in every moment and having the ability and the capacity to shift it and do it consciously from a place of knowing that the micro shifts are what are going to help you get there. It's not the big aha moments. It's not the this is something that I always tell my clients. It's not the 1 hour that you spend meditating. It's what you do with the other 23 when you're in the real world that are going to create the real momentum that you're looking for. So the story that I wanted to share is that I came back from Florida a couple of weeks ago, and I'm in Ottawa, so I had to fly to Toronto, and then I had to change airports and get to Ottawa from the second airport. So when I'm at airport number 2, so airport in Toronto, I was thinking the fastest way to get to airport, the other airport, the small airport on the island, was to take a car, so Uber, Lyft, taxi. Right? So I check my app and it's about $42 to get there. But if I take the train, it's $12. Not as convenient because then I have to, it's just like a whole more complicated to get there, right? And when I saw the price comparison, the first thing that happened to me is like, I felt that kind of like pulling my gut, right? It's like $40. And the thing that always comes to me is, I can't afford that. That is my default language, right? I can't afford it. When in reality, I can't afford $40. I have $40 in my bank account. I have $40 in my wallet. That's not a problem. But the default thinking is, I can't afford it, right? So once I noticed that, the awareness came up. Ooh, what am I saying? How am I behaving right now? Who am I showing up as in this moment? So I had to do a lot of, and the good thing is that the airport in Toronto is understaffed right now. So getting baggages out of the plane was like 40 minutes. I'm like, I have time to shift. No one's rushing me. So I did the work to shift. And that's something that we're going to be talking about in day 2 and day 3, how to start shifting that energy, how to start opening up to that infinite abundance, because it's not about spending the money on the car or not. It's about who you're being in that moment. So I had to do a lot of work about shifting and opening up to, I know that there's more for me. I know that there's more abundance. I know that there's more that's coming my way. I know that I only have to allow it and receive it, and doing that pivoting and pivoting and pivoting. When I felt that the knot in my stomach cleared, I knew that I had completely shifted from that previous mindset and emotion that I felt. So again, it's not about the 1 or 2 hours that you're going to spend in meditation, is how you're shifting in your day-to-day. But that shifting only comes if you have the awareness of who you're being. And that's why we're doing this exercise, to get clear on where we are. Because once we start to understand how we're behaving, how we're thinking, the reactions, like those visceral reactions, like I just described that I had, that's when you start to really understand that it's in the awareness of those things that your power resides. So the more awareness that you create about who you're bringing out to the world and play, the greater the gap that you're going to have between that thought and the reaction. And that's where your power of decision is, when you realize, fuck, what am I thinking right now? How am I feeling right now? And how can I pivot out of that into something that is going to be more conducive to the growth that you're looking for? So if we all, heard Kim's example, so can you see the mixed signals that we're sending out? So we want more money, we want more money, we want more money, but it's a struggle. But I don't know how to get it. But I don't know where it's going to come from. But I can't afford that. That's mine. But I can't afford that. But I can't spend that. But oh, look at that unexpected bill that just came up. Oh, I got that letter from the school, and the teachers want more money for field trip or whatever, and you feel that constriction in your body, right? So when we're sending that mixed signals out, just imagine how your lover, like this beautiful money lover that you want, is going to behave towards you, right? So would you want to stay with someone who's treating you that way? Oh, I want you, but I don't. Oh, I want you, but you're too expensive. Oh, I want you, but I don't know if I can afford you. Oh, I want you, but I'm going to take the train because it's cheaper. Ooh, so those mixed signals are what's derailing our momentum, right? Because you might be doing beautiful things when you're in alignment and when you're flowing and when the energy is moving through your body, but it's in the day-to-day things that we get tripped out, right? So in the grocery store, looking at prices of things, when we're looking at, like a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, there was so much talk about gas prices, right? So if that's where we're focusing our attention, if that's where we're placing our energy efforts towards money, then a shift is needed. So we are a generator of energy signals. We're constantly 24/7 generating signals, whether we're aware of it or not. So if each signal has a frequency and we become aware of that frequency that we are emitting in our day-to-day, then we're golden. Then that's already half the process to getting there, because that awareness, as I was saying before, is going to give you the gap that you need to make a different decision and to decide that you're going to think differently, that you're going to act differently, that you're going to react and behave differently. So let's take a look at the bullshit that we were taught. So this is just an example of some of the beliefs that are like the most common ones that I've heard from the clients that I've worked with, and from some in my life as well. So money is a struggle. Who hasn't really had that? There isn't enough. And if you have your own, please put them in the chat, because if I'm always interested to hear the beautiful things that we say to ourselves in the quiet and privacy of our own mind, because it's always so interesting and fascinating, the things that we're concocting in our heads, right? So things are too expensive. That was one that I always grew up with. My mom never went, and I actually she still does that. She never went to the grocery store without a pad of paper, and she was writing down all the prices, because she knew if she could spend more on something else, or if she had to, put some items back in the shelf because she couldn't afford it. And that's stuck in my memory. Being rich is not for people like us. I just told you about that one, that I never heard it spelled out like that. But that was the vibe of it. It's like those people, those rich people, those wealthy people. And usually those wealthy people weren't as nice. Like, it's just the people that we don't want to be, because they're arrogant, because they're crooks, because they're cocky, because they're all the things that you don't want to be, right? So if you have that negative association with rich people, do you want to be a rich person, right? If I'm looking at rich people as arrogant, cocky, not honest, crooks, is that the kind of person that I want to be? So it's all those misconceptions that we grew up with that are forming the relationship that we currently have with money. You have to work hard for money is one of my favorite ones, because that is the greatest piece of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Things can flow so easily and effortlessly once you know how to align with money and with the flow of abundance. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is the root of all evil. And as I said earlier, my favorite and personal one is I can't afford that. I was the type of person, and sometimes I still catch myself doing that if I go to a restaurant, I look at the right-hand side of the menu first before I decide what I want to eat. So if the item is cheap, then I buy it. And if it's not, then I just don't. So it's just that catching yourself when you're doing that. So just imagine, if this is the lens through which you're looking at abundance, do you think that you're attracting it or repelling it? And if you want to comment in the chat, oh, there's a few comments. Let me just take a look and see what you guys are saying. My dad will always say there's no money tree in the backyard. Okay, that's awesome. As an adult, money makes people feel powerful. Okay. I can spend on my kids easily, but for myself, it's hard. I can totally get that. Ordering from the right of the menu instead of, oh my God, I just said that one. I love you. We're like siblings because that was me. I remember this is a funny story that when I went on the first date with my now husband, I was very conscious. He brought me to well, I thought it was a fancy restaurant, but it probably wasn't. At the time, we were in our early 20s, so not a lot of money flowing around. And I was sweating balls, guys, because this restaurant was like super expensive for me. And I kept thinking, do I have enough money in my bank account? I'm new to Canada. Does he pay for me? Do I pay for me? Oh my God, how does this thing work? I don't know how dating works in Canada. I was just so stressed about that. And I did exactly that. I actually looked at every single item on the right, and by the price, I decided to order. And then my amazing date, now my husband, decided to order a bottle of wine. And I'm like, fuck my life. Who does he think I am? I can't afford wine. I'm just going to have a sip. Are we splitting the bill? Oh my God. Well, he ended up paying for the bill. But that whole dinner was like every single money belief that I've contemplated in my entire life came to me at that exact moment. So I actually couldn't enjoy the date thinking about the freaking final bill, but I survived and I married him. Champagne dreams on a beer budget. I had never heard that one, but I love it. You think I can chew paper and shit money? Oh, Ramel. Oh my goodness. I love that one. Okay, I need to update my repertoire because those are amazing. So one of the interesting things is that a lot of those beliefs that we hold about money go unnoticed, right? Because when we're having an open conversation like this, like what we're having right now, you can come up with them and you can actually articulate them and think about how they've played out in your life. But as I was saying, it's in the menial, mundane tasks that we go day by day that those beliefs come up unannounced and we don't even notice them, right? So it's like grabbing the cheaper box of cereal at the store because you can't afford the $12 one. And there's a $12 box of cereal here in Canada. And going for the, oh, my private label brand isn't available. So I don't know if I want to get that item or not because the branded item is too expensive, and going through those things in your head that because it's been so habituated in the way that we behave, we actually don't even realize that we're having some of those beliefs come up. So awareness is going to be key. So one of the things that I really want you to get out of today is that you have more power of influence over your life, business, and abundance that you give yourself credit for. And that's something that I don't say lightly. I mean, I've worked with so many people in my business that I know that breakthroughs don't have to take years and years and years. It just takes a special type of commitment for you to decide that you're going to change your relationship with money, that your business is going to be the most absolute passion that you have in your life, and that you're going to see the results that you want. Because if one person in the world can do it, then all of us can do it. So what we're going to be talking in the next couple of days is, what are you bringing to the table? Are you embodying the right type of momentum that you want, or you are embodying the type of momentum that is bringing you to the place of more lack and not abundance in your business? So let's just move on to the next slide. And something that I really want you to understand is how you think, feel, and behave about money determines your relationship with it. This is no lie. This is no over exaggeration. This is not something that I'm making up. This is something that is in my life so proven and so much of a fact, because the minute that I decided that I was going to shift my perception of money and shift the way that I felt about it, and I made it my personal commitment to change my mindset about it, my life completely changed. So I love the analogy of seeing money as a person. And why? So you've heard me throughout the presentation that I'm talking about the relationship with money, right? So how do I treat money? How do you feel when bills come? How do you feel when unexpected bills come? I had to do a lot of shifting of my own last November because we had water in the basement, so unexpected, so out of the blue, and the bill was $20,000. Do you think that I felt happy about spending $20,000 on something that I wasn't counting on? So I actually worked through it, and I did a very, very deliberate effort to shift my perception about what was happening, so that I could actually see it from a different point of view and change the way that I was feeling about it. It wasn't easy, but when you're so committed to changing your life, you do what it takes to actually turn that shit around. And when you turn that shit around, results have to come. So unexpected expenses, money decisions, do we go on vacation? Where do we go on vacation? Can we afford to go on vacation? And that doesn't mean that you have to start spending money like crazy, but that means that you're going to be okay with whatever decision you make, because you feel at peace with how you feel about money. So we live in an attraction-based universe. Everything, absolutely everything, business, passion, relationships, the people that you deal with, everything is responding to your perception of it, whether you're aware of it or not. So as an example, you might be saving money for the future, and I am saving money for the future. It is the same act of saving, right? We're both putting money away in our bank accounts for when we retire, when we're 60, 70, 80, whatever the case. But I might be scared to death about that future, and that's why I'm saving. I'm thinking, I have no kids, I have no one who's going to be taking care of me, I don't know what's going to happen with my life, I need to be saving, I need to be putting this money away, because I feel so unsafe and so uncertain about what's to come. And you might be feeling, oh my God, I'm saving because I want to travel all over the world when I retire. I want to have the best life that I haven't had yet. I'm looking forward to this next stage in my life. Everything that's coming is wonderful. I'm so excited to be saving that money. So it is exactly the same action. We're both putting the same $100 a month away in our savings account, but the energy that we're bringing to the plate is completely different. And that is exactly the same thing that happens in business. And that's when I was giving you the example that you might be having the same strategy as someone else. You might be promoting in the same way. You might be bringing up something amazing that you learned from a business coach. But if your energy is not lining up, that's not going to work for you. It might work for somebody else, but it's not going to work for you, because we live in a universe that is based on attraction. So the moment that you start making the shift is the moment that everything is going to turn around, including your business and including your finances. So when we start to view money as a neutral resource or as a positive resource, but if we start neutralizing it first, things are going to get much better. When you start seeing it as just a resource, whether it's neutral or positive, that relationship has to change. And as you learn, and that's something that we're going to be talking about tomorrow, when you learn to sustain that signal, when you start to sustain that energetic signature that you're bringing up, what you want has to come to you. What you want has to come to you. So awareness is absolutely everything. And I've already said that a few times. Let me just do a time check. Okay, I don't want to go too long, so I'm just gonna zip through these. So awareness is everything. And one of the things that I want to touch upon that I think is super important is to talk about why change can be challenging. So there are a couple of things, and let me ask you these. So how many times have you tried something, a new habit or a new Year's resolution? I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to read X number of books. I'm going to do all these things that I really want to make a habit into my life. And how many times have you actually accomplished some of the things that you promised yourself you were going to do? And how many things you failed? And if you want to comment in the chat, let me know. For me, one of the biggest ones has always been reading books, because I've always wanted to read books. Exactly. That happens to a lot of people. I think there's only 1 year that I read one book per month. And to me, that was like the biggest accomplishment ever. And then I have a friend who reads like 50 books a year. I'm like, fuck my life. Okay, I'm never going to get there. But so let's talk about that and why change can be so challenging. And there are two reasons to that. Because the body is addicted to the emotions that you've been feeding them for decades and decades and decades, right? So as we were talking about before, your personality has been formed by the age of 7 and it's been solidified by the age of 35. But every time that you've exercised a type of emotion, your brain is emitting a signal that creates a chemical that feeds your body. So when you're feeling anger, there's just a chemical that your brain is feeding to your body. When you feel frustration, it's the same thing. When you feel hate, when you feel love, when you feel any type of emotion, there is a transmission of chemicals between your brain and your body. And if you have habituated the same ways of thinking and the same ways of feeling, so let's bring back the subject of money. If you've been used to thinking, I can't afford that, and you feel that tug in your stomach, like when I felt between the train and the car decision, you feel that tug in your stomach. You've been practicing those emotions of I can't afford this, I can't have that, money is hard, clients are hard to find, yada, yada, yada. When you habituated that, you have created an addiction between your brain and your body. So every time that you get the hit, every time that you feel that, that frustration, I can't afford it, and you feel that chemical in your body, you feel like yourself, because you're so used to feeling the same way that you don't think anything of it. And subconsciously and unconsciously, you're going to be looking for that hit. That's why aware is so important. And the addictions of the mind are basically your mind is addicted to the thoughts that you're thinking. So if you're used to thinking without even considering the feeling part, if you're used to thinking, I can't afford that, the same things that I just said before. Life is difficult. Money is hard to come by. Life just doesn't work for me. Even if you're not getting the emotional hit of the chemical, you are so used to regurgitating the same thoughts in your mind, and those addictions are hard to break because it takes, again, and I'm going to say it 1,000 times in the next 2 days as well, the awareness of realizing that you're going back into the habit. Once you're able to get into that awareness, you can shift it. But it is difficult because it's something that we go on automatic pilot during our day, right? So one of the things that, one of the examples, the best examples that I have is about my mom. And bless her heart, I love her to death, but she cannot stop criticizing my dad. Everything that is wrong with the world is my dad's fault. Everything that's not working is my dad's fault. And she just nags and criticizes him to death. And there's one time that I actually had that conversation with her, and I told her, I'd love for you to see him and treat him differently because he's my father, and it breaks my heart that you're constantly criticizing him. So could you please change that? She tried, she couldn't. So there's the one time that I said, I'm gonna challenge you to not say anything about him for 24 hours. She lasted less than 2. And at that moment, without me saying it, without me explaining any of this to her, she actually put her hand over her mouth and she says, I think I'm addicted to criticizing him. And I'm like, fucking bingo, she got it. She hasn't changed, but at least she's aware of that addiction that she has, right? Ramila is saying a couple of months ago, I had to evaluate my relationship with money. Oxygen and money are just about equal in this world. Exactly, brother. But no one talks about oxygen as much as money. Exactly. And we need them both to survive. So one of the things that we want to get out of this workshop is understanding those addictions of the body. So the chemical hits that we get from the emotions that we're feeling about abundance and about our businesses, and the addictions of the mind. What are the thoughts that I'm feeding my mind constantly, right? And that's a process of reparenting ourselves. So think about this. If we learned all of this shit from our parents, it is our time to shine as our parents and say the things to ourselves that our parents didn't say to us. Be more encouraging about the way that we're thinking, be more encouraging about the way that we're feeling, and eventually we're going to start seeing the change in the way that we're thinking, and most importantly, in the way that we're feeling. And when that relationship changes, magic happens in your life. So I have something in my notes that I really want you to take with you. True change lies in training the body to feel better and the mind to think better. Those two are very aligned. And as I was saying to Kim earlier, it is a matter of micro shifts. We don't need to be, in 0 and go to 400 from one day to the next. It's just catching ourselves in the private conversations that we're having with ourselves in our minds. Is catching ourselves when we feel the tug in the stomach. Is catching ourselves when those situations and circumstances outside of us call us to react in the same freaking way that we've done it over and over and over. And when you catch yourself, you already won half the battle. So let me just get to the next slide. And I think we're almost done because I don't want to take a lot of your time. So rewriting the rules and changing the story. So I want you to take a couple of minutes before we close. This is the second question of your worksheet. So if you go back to your worksheet, and I have it, where'd my worksheet go? Okay, so the second question is, if you had a chance to decide how your relationship with money is, what would you change? How would you treat money differently? And how would money treat you differently? How would you feel? So just take the next 2 or 3 minutes to rewrite that story. And if looking at what you wrote in your first question helps, because sometimes it's just flipping it around. Writing the opposite way. If money is hard to come by, so what's the opposite of that? Well, money is easy to come by, right? So I'm just taking the time right here, and we'll just come back in a minute to share. I love that little exchange between Katie and Ramel. Are we deserving of breath? It's fascinating. Absolutely is. Money equals tool. Absolutely. Terrible master, excellent servant. The relationship will be fun, supportive, loving, trusting. I love that. So while you're all doing that, I'm just going to tell you some of my own rules because I love playing with these. So because in my playful mind, I try to see money as a lover, right? So I want my lover to make me feel reassured, supported, loved, heard, seen. I want to feel that this person, quote unquote, money is there for me always. That I don't have to wonder if he or she, whatever you want to call it. I usually kind of see it as a he, but you can play with these and see it any way that you want. It's like I want he to see me and want to cater to my every little desire. And as I am playing with that, with those statements of the rules that I'm rewriting, I feel the ease in my body and I feel the shift in the way that I feel, because then I can feel that support. That's something that we're going to be talking more about tomorrow, and especially on day 3, because day 3 is where we're actually going to go into like the how to, that the 23 hours in the day besides your meditation hour, if you do meditate, what do you do in the real life? What do you do in the real world? What do you do in the grocery store? What do you do at the gas pump? How do you behave with money? So because I don't want to go over too long, you can absolutely play with the worksheet after the call or before tomorrow, before the call for tomorrow. And if you want to share, by all means, let me know. But I'm going to stop it right there so that we don't go over time too long. All right, so one of the things that I want you to understand is that you're making up the rules of your life as you go. So all the stories that you heard in your childhood about money are just that. They're just stories that you gave your energy and your attention for too long. But as such, you can actually give your attention to whatever story that you want. So we've been doing the same thing unconsciously or without a consistent effort over and over and over again. But just imagine if we decided that we're going to think differently, and by that thinking differently, we're going to feel differently, the absolutely magic that you can unfold in your life. And it is absolutely possible. As I was saying at the beginning, it doesn't have to take years. It doesn't have to require an out of the ordinary miracle. It can just be seen in the micro shift that you're going to be having every day. So the thing is that we have been reacting to the environment. So I mentioned it at the beginning, the economy, the pandemic, the lack of demand, the too much demand, the government, the political environment, and we relate to what's happening rather than keeping an eye on the story that we're telling ourselves. So am I saying that I'm not going to make it because there's a new president or prime minister? Am I not going to make it because the economy changed? Am I not going to make it because there's a global pandemic? Am I not? It's the stories that we're repeating over and over and over that keep feeding the patterns of thoughts and that keep feeding the patterns of emotional things that we're feeling day in and day out. So when you start to change the story, you can start seeing the change in your reality. And when you start to see that you're the operant component of your life, so when you start to actually realize that it is all you who's making it up, it is all you who has the power to tell the story in your head. It is you who has the power to change the way that you're feeling just because you decide that you want to change the way that you're feeling. Then you realize that you are the author of everything that is happening inside of you, meaning your stories in your head and the emotions in your body. So then you have the power to change it. And I'll tell you one thing, when you realize that you are the operant component of your life, it stops being about the car, the house, the business, the money, and it becomes about how happy you wake up every morning, how purposeful your life feels, and how amazing you feel about the person that you have become. And when you have the realization, the flow of everything can come into your life, and it's not going to make a difference because you're already happy no matter what. So to close it in, what we're going to do right now is we're going to be talking about what's happening tomorrow. And I just wanted to leave you with this quote. So everything, this one I did quote because it was Mr. Albert Einstein, not 100 million people who said it. So everything is energy, and that's all there is. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics. And I cannot find this more true, especially in the environment that we are right now when things are moving so fast and we have everything available at our disposal. So what we're gonna be doing tomorrow is we're gonna be talking about your energetic signature. So it's gonna be a build-up of everything that we've discussed today. There's another worksheet that you're gonna be getting, not tonight, but tomorrow. So Joe, keep an eye on your email because you're still not subscribed to my automated email. So I'm going to do that tonight, and you're going to get the worksheet tomorrow. So your energetic signature is who you're embodying at every single minute of your life. So what we're going to be discussing tomorrow is, who are you to the table? What are the personality that you're embodying? Are you creating the right type of momentum that is going to bring you what you want, or are you going the other way, and how you can shift it? And this is one of the things that will affect or have a greater impact on your business more than anything else that you can do, more than any action that you can take, more than any courses that you can take. Once you learn to get your energetic signature in such a state of beautiful alignment with money, everything else that you do is just going to help you in greater and greater amounts that it's been doing right now. So I'm going to leave it at this, folks. feel free to leave the call right now. If you have any questions, I can stay for another 5-10 minutes. But if no one has any questions, let me know. So if you want to unmute, let me just stop sharing so I can see your beautiful faces. There we go. Ooh, everyone's still here. That's amazing. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Ismani. Thank you, G. I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly, not G, but Ismani. Shannon, money will flow with me and to me like a good friendship. Oh my God, I love that. Jesus, money is easy, baby. I know how to make me. I can find. Feel free to unmute yourself or type it in the chat if you have any questions. If not, I'm just going to stare at your beautiful faces until someone says something.
Great job, Isabel. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Ramel. Much appreciated. Okay, so I'm just going to assume that there aren't any questions. And excellent. Thank you very much, Wendy. My ultimate pleasure. This is my passion. This is what I was born to do. I love that. I'll see you all tomorrow, hopefully. And I think day 3 is going to be so much, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.